welcome to the Money Watch Show. It's Sunday, July 20th. Ooh, baby, it is the heat of the summer, and we are here talking about any issue that impacts your financial life. And that means that it could be literally anything. It could be about college funding. It could be like you just getting your first job. Maybe you're doing a career transition. Maybe you want an explainer about something that's been offered to you. Whatever it is, anything that is close to $, get in touch with us. Go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, write us a note, and check the little box if you want to join us live. And here on this program, I am joined by the executive producer of all things Jill on Money, Money Watch, and everything in my life, Mark Talercio. Mark, how are you, sir?
Present, Jill. We're inching closer and closer to our European break.
Oh, yes. Someday, Mark, you know what we should do?
All of August.
All of August. Exactly right. That is exact. So just to be clear, Mark and I have literally done daily podcasting since the pandemic. We never had a sub in. I mean, sometimes we'll do a best of show, but it's usually in a holiday, right? When it's like some great guest that we have and we love the interview. But I don't have a sub. I don't have someone who does the show for me. Maybe I should groom somebody to do that.
I will not. I won't tolerate that.
Oh, dear. Okay. What Mark and I have been doing, this is crazy, since March of 2020 is that we did 7 days a week on the Jill on Money show. We went to earlier this year, 5 days a week on Jill on Money, but then we have this show on the weekends. And so we're back doing 7 days a week, but we don't have anyone to take over for us, but we both love the idea of vacation. So that means that what we do is we do these marathon taping sessions in advance of going away. So right now we're only doing 2 weeks of that, but we could do all of August, Mark. Oh my God, that would be a heavy lift.
Yeah, it's a lot of work ahead of time.
It may not even be
doable.
It is. I don't know. It's going to be your call, not mine, because, I will be on my glide path to a different world where I'm just working with you and not doing anything else. Can't wait.
I'll be gliding with you.
I can't wait for that. Anyway.
Like slip and slide.
Yeah, slip sliding away. Anyway, so that's what we do here. We try to help guide you and maybe even on our vacations. Today, we are talking to Miss Rebecca from the Pacific Northwest. Hello, Rebecca. Do you like vacation as much as we do here?
Oh, I do. Absolutely. Yeah. I work with a bunch of Europeans and I'm always so jealous because they take off like the entire month of August.
I know. We're so
we
stupid.
In America, yeah.
We're dumb. We should do that for sure.
Yeah.
So what brings you to our airwaves today, Rebecca?
Well, hello. Thank you so much for taking my call. It's awesome talking to you both. So I'm feeling kind of stuck and I can't seem to make what I think should be a pretty easy decision regarding retaining the services of a certified financial planner.
Okay.
And so my mind is kind of running in circles and I need somebody with, an objective voice of reason to kind of push me out of this.
Okay. That's good. And
anyway,
both Mark and I are certified financial planners, so we'll have opinions about this.
Yeah. Awesome. So my father recently passed away.
I'm sorry.
And so I'm going to be inheriting, what to me is a rather large amount of money. And much of the assets are currently held in investment portfolios managed by a CFP with a large investment firm. My parents worked with this individual for many years and they had a really good relationship with him, so he's been really a trusted advisor for our family.
Okay.
So originally I thought I would keep my inheritance kind of where it is and continue to work with this fellow. Another piece of information is that I would like to retire in a couple of years. I'm currently 59, so having access to somebody that can provide sound retirement planning advice and strategies, that's important to me.
Okay.
But, as I start to focus on the fees that this firm charges, I get a little bit queasy because myself, I've always been a pretty simple investor, using more of a passive investment strategy, if you will, low fee index funds,
Great.
ETFs.
Right. We
target
love that.
retirement and the like. Yeah. So
let me ask you a couple of questions. So you're
sure.
59.
Yes.
And your father, is your mom still alive, or is this your,
No, she
okay.
passed away 3 years ago. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's a lot of loss in a short
Yeah,
time.
it is. It's rough.
I'm sorry
It's
about
rough
that.
to watch that happen. Yeah. Thanks.
How much money are you inheriting?
Conservatively 1.5 million.
Okay. And how much money have you accumulated yourself as you've been working all these years?
About half that. So about
Okay.
750,000
Okay,
in
I got it.
retirement. Yeah.
And just you said you're 59. Are you single, partnered, kids? What's going on?
I am single, and my only dependent is my aging dog. So he's
Oh, that
starting
can
to
be.
have some expensive orthopedic
I'm sorry.
issues. But
What kind of
anyway,
dog?
he's an Australian Shepherd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a rough, say a rough and tumble kind of dog.
Yeah, he
Ready to
is.
bring everybody together, herd us
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the your own retirement outlook before this $1.5 million, were you always planning on retiring soon and somewhat earlier? Where were you in your mindset?
Probably not as soon as I'm thinking now.
Okay.
I had like 10 years of being self-employed, so I really wasn't able to save a lot during that time, but
Okay.
I've gone back to the corporate world and I make a good salary now. So, I don't know. I was maybe thinking 65-ish
Mm-hmm.
earlier.
And now we're thinking 59-ish. It's fine.
Well, maybe a couple. I can't. Yeah, I have some obligations to the company.
So what's our real retirement date, do you think?
I'm thinking
62?
2 years. 2 years. Yeah, 61 and a half. So
Okay.
mid 2027.
Okay. Now, if that were the case, how would you continue to get health care? What would be the game plan? Would you just go on to the Affordable Care Act? What would you do?
Yeah, I think that's what I do. I have a lot of friends that are slightly older that have
Mm-hmm.
retired early, so I'm kind of starting to pick their brains.
Okay,
But that's
good.
what I was thinking. Yeah.
Okay. Will you be entitled to any pension benefit?
No.
Okay. How much money do you, besides the 750,000 that you saved, that's all retirement assets or all assets?
That is mostly retirement. It's about half is pre-tax, like 401k and
Mm-hmm.
rollover IRAs, and half is a Roth IRA,
Okay.
and then brokerage.
Okay,
And
great.
apart from that, I have like restricted, I haven't taken into account RSUs from my employer. I've got some cash, like 25 grand. I usually keep in my checking account. And
Okay.
I
And how
do.
about your house? Do you own it? Do you rent? What do you got?
Yeah, so I own it. It's worth probably 740, 750.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a mortgage. It's got a fairly, when I bought it 20 years ago, I got a adjustable rate, which was great until recently. So it's now at like 7.2%. And I
Oh,
got like 125,000 left.
okay.
So the payments are manageable, even though the rate is high. It's
Okay.
not an onus.
Okay. How much money do you think you need to live on?
Yeah, that's a good question. Right now, it's about 6,000, 6,200, and that includes the mortgage.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If I take out the mortgage, it's around 4,000. I live pretty simply. I mean, I don't go on extravagant vacations or buy fancy stuff. So I'm a
When
pretty
you
simple person.
so when you and what's your income right now approximately?
It's depending on the bonus, it's between 195 and 200,000.
Okay. You're now putting money into retirement. You're maxing out. Is that what's happening?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And is it all going into Roth at this point, or are you splitting it up? How are you managing
Well,
that?
I've just done pre-tax. My company does offer Roth 401k,
Mm-hmm.
but because I'm in a highish tax bracket, I kind of thought it maybe made more sense to do pre-tax. But that was kind of a question that it's always been on my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I get that you feel like, oh, I'm in a high tax bracket because you're a single, but you're in basically the 24% bracket.
Right.
I don't see you going down much lower than 24%. Maybe you go to 22%, maybe when you stop working. I don't know. I'm like mixed on it. I think that most importantly for me is if I were only working for a couple more years, I probably would try to beef up my cash. You said you had RSUs. What's in the money of those RSUs? How much is like worth what that we could, if in 2 years you're done, you have RSUs, what do you suspect they're worth and that is actually usable to you?
Yeah, I just started getting them this year. I get the estimated value is 30,000,
All
and I
right.
should get those every year. And they vest over 4 years, so 25% each year. But I
Mm-hmm.
think if I read the fine print, when I retire, if I've been with the company for 5 years, they would all vest automatically when I retired,
Right.
even
As
if it
long as
has.
you're not going to some competitor, like you really have
Yeah,
to retire. I get it.
right.
Okay.
So I'll
Um,
just say that I do have cash in my brokerage account,
mm-hmm.
like about 100,000.
Mm-hmm.
It's in a money market, so that's sort of what I see
Good.
as my safety
Okay.
fund.
In 2 years, you're not really going to have income except for what comes from the brokerage account and what you have inherited. The inheritance, is that a retirement account or is that in a brokerage account?
It's all after-tax money. So
Mm-hmm.
there are two funds, a more actively managed fund, which is where 60% is,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like 70% equities and 30% fixed income.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a brokerage, which is sort of the opposite, 70% fixed income and 30% stocks.
Okay. Let's talk about the fees for this $1.5 million. What is the rate that the CFP at large investment houses is charging you?
Yeah, it is. It's going to be. I asked him like 2 million what the fee would be, and he said 1.08%.
1% on your two, so 20 grand a year.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like that's
You don't love that, do you?
over the years. The thing is, if you get what you pay for, I'm cool. I just don't want to be a sucker and pay these AUM fees. If
Mm.
you know what I mean. It's so I'm. That's my dilemma. I want to be responsible and manage this money. I don't want to risk it by moving it somewhere
Well,
cheap.
okay. I have two different thoughts on this. Okay. One is that, you're right. If you're getting full blown financial planning, then maybe. But my question to you is that what these folks are doing? Are they doing financial planning? Are they
Yeah,
doing asset management? I guess that's my question.
well, I guess I don't really have the experience to kind of discriminate between those two. I think it's more, when he was managing my parents' portfolios, it wasn't really planning, it was more just managing, I think.
Right.
I don't think there was a lot of activity going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
Sure. If you were going to actually hire a certified financial planner in your life, what I would think would be useful would not be the ongoing asset management, but it would be the planning.
right,
So I do believe that there is a possibility, there is a world where I think you might benefit from working with a financial planner. I'm not sure you need ongoing asset management. What you need is the plan. Do you know what I'm
right.
saying?
Yeah,
And so, from that perspective, what I would do is I would interview people. And I think that that would be somebody, it's like that, the kind of person that you would look at would be somebody who is a real planning forward certified financial planner and somebody who is going to say to you, let me look at what you have. Let me look at what you're inheriting. Let's put a game plan together for this $2.25 million. You're only 61 and a half. We got to make sure this money lasts, but let's sketch this out. Let's really create different scenarios that would be helpful for you. And the reason why I think this is important is the planning part is worth it to me. The asset management, not so much. I got
hmm,
to be honest with you. I just don't think that just plain old money management is worth it. So what I think is important for you is to have the security of knowing that you are retiring and affording to be able to support yourself for the next 3 decades, right? And that you have the money that you have that will see you through that period. And, maybe there is even a case to be made that, some of the money should be used to start paying off that mortgage, because
Yeah,
at
exactly.
7.2%, that's a real number, right?
Yeah.
But I do think it would be very much worth your while to work with a planning firm that could really outline what steps you need to take in the next couple of years. And that may be the current CFP former trusted advisor, but maybe you should talk to some other people also, because the person who your parents worked with may not be the right person for you.
Right.
And that's fair enough, right? To imagine am I just going to go to my parents' doctor? No, maybe I want my own doctor, and it's a very intimate relationship. So
right.
I think that would be worth your while to look into that. And also, of course, if you're going to go, I think this is a perfect time for you, because as you said, as you're thinking about going into retirement, maybe this person will do some modeling and you'll say, I don't want to retire and have to live and worry. Maybe I need to change my outlook. Maybe I need to think about doing some little contract work on the side for a few years. I don't know. I'm just saying that maybe, but I can't do that planning for you. And I don't think you want to do it yourself. So I think it would be a great idea for you to talk to somebody about this. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Great.
Makes sense?
Yeah, it does. Totally. Yeah.
Any other questions from our viewpoint here?
Does it seem reasonable for me to retire in 2 years with 2.3-ish million?
Well, it's not a slam dunk. I don't think. I think that if, you say that you've got expenses of, $6,200 a month or so, it's close. If we looked at your total portfolio of 2.25, some of it has been taxed, some of it hasn't. But on like a straight line basis, should you be able to kind of get there with $6,200 a month? Yeah, but it's not a slam dunk. If all of a sudden the expenses start rising, or something comes up, or it's close. That's what I would say.
Yep.
And it doesn't mean it's close forever, because you will get Social Security, but you should be okay. And I don't want to make you feel like, oh my God, I can't do it, because I think you probably can do it. It's it's just that, because half of the money hasn't been taxed yet, it's not really that you have, 350 or 400,000. It's really like, 250, 300, because you're going to get taxed on it. But, you live in the Pacific Northwest. Hopefully you live in Washington State, not Oregon, where the state tax situation is a little bit better. But, I think it's all going to be just fine, because you've got this $1.5 million, you can't go crazy. And it's something that would need, I think, a little bit more modeling, so you feel like you have a much better handle on, okay, what happens right now from age 61 to say age 70 when I'm going to claim Social Security. Then what happens from 70 to 75, those years in between when I have to try to get some money out of my retirement assets that haven't been taxed. And then what happens from 75 and beyond, and just run those numbers so that you have the security of knowing that you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Excellent. What
One
else?
more question. This is just such a noob question, but currently in my father's portfolio, there are, 42 individual stocks.
That's ridiculous.
A lot of line items, To transfer that to a different custodian.
Yeah.
How does that work? Does everything have to be sold and then cashed out?
The only thing that has to be sold is an asset that cannot be held in the new place. So let's just say you're at like Mark and Jill's investment house, and we have sold you a proprietary product that's called the Mark and Jill Small Cap Fund. Okay. And if you're moving away from us, it may be that has to be sold. But if it's an individual security, if it's like, oh, I own Microsoft and that's in the account, the way it works is you do what's called a tape to tape transfer. The money that's in the current account will move straight over to the new place as is, with the same cost basis. And of course, you would have to make sure that this. I think it'll be easier for you because you're inheriting this. The inherited value is the date of death valuation.
Right.
That becomes your new cost basis.
Right.
So it's actually a perfect time to go through this process, simply because if you have to sell anything, it's just happened. There's not some massive capital gain that's buried into this whole thing. So It's a good time to do the analysis, and it's a good time to do any sort of transfers. Don't tell them you're leaving until you have all the data that you need.
Yeah.
If you are leaving. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make sense?
It does. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. Mark, are you satisfied with this? I really hogged this, but I knew you weren't paying attention that much.
What was that?
Yeah, exactly.
That's okay.
This is what he does to me. All right, gang. If you are like Rebecca and circumstances have changed, terrible because of the loss, but good that you get some money as a result, maybe, but you don't really know what to do. Should you stay with the old advisor, get your own? What should happen? All you need to do is go to our website, jillonmoney.com, click the contact us button, write us a note. And if you'd like to join us on the air live, check the box. Mark will do everything else. While you're on the website, sign up for the free weekly newsletter and check out our subscription service. It's called Jill on Money Live. That is where you have access to quarterly live webinars, the back catalog of those webinars, bonus audio and video content, all for $45 for the next 12 months. It would probably be your cheapest subscription out there. I'm just saying. Okay, Mark Talercio is the co-host and executive producer of this broadcast. He's also the web king. And again, everything lives at jillonmoney.com. You can subscribe to this program on the Odyssey app, which you can also subscribe to our sister broadcast called Jill on Money. And you can also subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen. Of course, we ask that you do something nice for someone else today. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next week.